All right, perfect. I am so freaking excited for tonight. So, if you are on my team and you're like an OG, Mariah and I used to do Zooms together all the freaking time. Like literally every week, multiple times a week. It was just what we did. And we were like, well, I think our teams are like sick of each other because that's like the only people that are on our Zoom. So, but I'm just so hyped to have Mariah back because y'all, she is freaking killing it with her business right now. Like her numbers from last month were just insane. And she was messaging me and I'm like, I don't even know what's happening. Like my mind is blown for you. So Mariah, I'm gonna unmute you. If you just want to share a little bit about your story, you can share like the ups, the downs, all things up until now, and then we'll kind of dig deeper from there. I should have.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. Hi guys that we haven't spoke to in a hot little minute. So exciting to do this. Courtney is one of my absolute favorite people on the planet. So she just had to ask and I was like, girl, tell me when and how many times you need me to speak. Like I'm there. So excited to be chatting with you guys tonight. So for those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Mariah Newsome. I am a double diamond with the company. I've been in almost 3 years. This business really found me in a place where I wasn't necessarily looking for it. I was just looking for something and a vehicle to get me to more. Me and my husband, we had just gotten married, and our entire dating relationship, we were long distance. And so I was so excited to get married and like get to spend time with this awesome human. And all of a sudden, I found myself married, working, commuting 4 hours a day. My husband was doing school, and I realized I saw him more when we were long distance than we were when we were married and living under the same roof. And I was like, I know I read the Bible and I know somewhere in there it says the word abundance and like that's what God wants for us. And I knew I just wasn't walking in that. I knew there's no way that this is what God had intended with abundance because I sure as heck wasn't feeling that. I was feeling so defeated. I was feeling such like a failure. Everywhere I looked, I felt like I wasn't being a good wife. I wasn't, able to keep the house clean. I was tired all the time trying to grocery shop, but also working full time plus commuting 3 to 4 hours a day. And I just felt defeated. And so I was just, looking for something to get more out of life. And, we really thought that was going to be my husband graduating and getting a good job so that I could slack back some. We definitely never imagined it being a business opportunity like this. But I saw a post where I could join for $20. And I was like, okay, let me see what this is about because $20, it's not that much. Like, let me see. And so I messaged the girl who posted. I asked like a bunch of questions really quickly, and then I was like, okay, just sign me up. Like, I'll just do this thing. Like, I have a insane work ethic, and so I was like, if I do this and I'm not successful, then nobody can. Like, none of it's real. None of these people are actually making the money. If I can't do it, there's no way. And so I kind of jumped in almost to prove it wrong, but had so much hope that maybe this could be something. And man, good Lord, did God use this vehicle to completely transform everything for us. I jumped in ignorance on fire, no idea what I was doing. I went Ruby though in my first month. I went Emerald 2 months later, Diamond 3 months after that, Double 2 months after that. So within my first 8 months of starting this, insert income disclosure here, I saw over $8,000 a month in just 8 months of joining a business for $20 to pretty much prove it wasn't going to actually work. And so to say that God rocked my world with this opportunity is an understatement. It has done so much for us personally, so much for my family. It's afforded us so many opportunities that we wouldn't have had before. I came from a very struggling family growing up. We went to food kitchens instead of grocery stores. Like me and my mom and my dad would share like a box of mac and cheese, and that's like all we would eat for the day. Like it was really tough. And so seeing $8,000 in 1 month, like you can only guess how irresponsible I was. And gosh, like, and you guys have heard it, God's not going to bless you with more so you can be faithful with a little. And I had this, for me, it was more, but in the grand scheme of this business, $8,000 is really just a little. Like when you can look at the potential. And so I wasn't stewarding that well. And so just as quickly as I got to double, I lost it again. And since then, the past 2 years have been very rocky, very up and down, very uncertain, a lot of growing, a lot of learning. And we are finally back in a solid foundation, a solid place where God's doing just immense things, not only in my team, but in me me and personally in our finances, we are, stewarding our money as wisely as we can. We're making good choices. We are, giving, and not just financially, we're giving personally, we're giving knowledge, we're giving our time, and we are, really walking into that light that God has always had there for us. And I 100% believe it's taking us forward. And you guys, keep your eyes out because we are going triple this month, okay? So that's a quick rundown of kind of my quick journey of the past 3 years.
Oh my gosh. I just love you. And I just feel like every time you talk, I'm like, let's just listen forever. But y'all, when she said she's a hard worker, she was not kidding. Like, I spent a couple of days with her. Matthew and I drove out there and I was like, dang girl, like, I thought I worked hard and you work. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to step my game up. But I just love how quickly you ran. So, what I want you to talk about, I had people ask questions and I'm probably not going to look at them because I just feel like we just vibe, whatever, it's fine. So, I want you to talk about someone who's been in the business for a while and they're just like ready to go. Like they're done with like just kind of making it by, like just doing like whatever, like they're ready to freaking run. Talk to that person, tell them what they need to do to get their show on the road.
Well, for one, don't count yourself out just because it's taking you a while. I mean, like me and Courtney, we're both double diamonds. We both have seen some crazy paychecks. I did it in 8 months and you did it in what, 3 years? Like something like that?
Like 4.
Okay. But right. So you took you 4 years. It took me 8 months, but we got to the same destination and we got the same paychecks. We've had the same growth. We've had the similar opportunities, similar team environments. And, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Guess what, guys? Here we both are, double diamonds sitting here, whether it was achieved really quickly or it took longer to do. And so at first, I think it's very important to not count yourself out. Like, it's okay to hibernate. It's okay to, dig those roots down deep before you blossom. That's totally fine. So taking that time of however long you've been in the business, like, kudos to you, you have experience. And so now we get to go forward in experience. So instead of jumping in and having to be ignorance on fire, you have knowledge. So now you get to be knowledge on fire, which is allowing you to propel yourself now way quicker and way more effectively than when you first would have gotten started, because you're trying to learn and go. You've already learned, you've been around the block, you have all of this stored up resources. Now you get to apply it. And so the biggest determining factor that's going to decide whether you continue what you've been doing, whether you continue saying, I would like to promote, or I would like some more money, or, it would be nice if I promoted diamond or whatever, versus actually making it happen, is going to solely come down to you. There's no magic sauce. There's no magic host to post script. There's no magic daily task list. You've got to be the difference maker. So you can either show up today, the same person who made the goals 10 months ago, the same person who made the goals 3 months ago, saying, I'm going to go and do this, or you can decide to show up as a different person. You can decide to show up as the person who achieves the goals, not just sets them. You're good at setting goals. You're good at looking at where you want to be. You're good at saying, oh, this would be so awesome, like, I'm going to go diamond. But you get to decide to set up, to walk into the person who is diamond, not who's going diamond. I didn't end up going double because I decided I wanted to show up and work towards being double. No, I went double so quickly because when I was a ruby, I was showing up as a double diamond. I was working as a double diamond. Like, yes, we are pushing for triple diamond right now, but I am not working like a triple diamond. I don't talk like a triple diamond. I'm out here talking, I'm working, and I'm leading like I am a presidential or ambassador diamond, because I have to show up as that person to hit the goal on the way. And so whatever it is you're looking at, stop trying to get there and start showing up as that person. I feel like I've said this so many times recently, and I don't know, I'm on a Star Wars kick, guys. Like, love Star Wars. I've just been all about it. But like, in the wise words of Yoda, okay, like, there is no try, there's do or do not. And so you get to decide, are you going to do it or are you going to not? And at the end of the day, that one decision is the only thing you're going to be able to attribute your success or failure to. It's not the world around you. It's not your team. It's not your upline. It's not your network. It's whether or not you decided and committed to it, or you decided not to and stayed complacent and lazy. So you just got to get your mind right, and it's time to go.
Oh my gosh. I love that. Is anyone else like hype? Put a 2 in the chat if you're like, I'm just like hyped up and ready to go ambassador like yesterday. It's fine. This is why like sometimes I just call Mariah and I'm like, okay, I just need me some Mariah. Like I just need you to like preach to me for a second. But I want you to get super into detail because I know we have some greens on here. Or if you're someone who you're like, okay, I'm hyped up, I'm willing to do the things, but like be honest. What do I need to do to be a mass enroller? What do I need to do to get from distributor to diamond in 2 months? Tell me the things to do. I know, put a 3 in the chat if you're that person that you're like, I'll do it, but like, tell me what to do. So go on your end, whatever you feel like is necessary, and be like completely honest. No sugarcoating, no nothing. What needs to be done?
Definitely. And I think the biggest difference between those people who are going to actually do the work and not is you are not going to do the tasks, you're going to work for the results. And so you've got to get real with what is coming out of this. Like kudos to you if you can get a host to post up. Like that's awesome. There's a lot of people who aren't doing it. But if you get a host to post up and it doesn't get a single comment, what did you do? Like in reality, what did you do? That person posts on Facebook all the time anyways. That's not an accomplishment. And yes, if you are new and you are pushing to get your host to post up, you're pushing to learn, that's a reward. That is a huge win for you. But if you know how to do it, stop allowing yourself to find victory in things that are just another task. It's just a stepping stone. It's not the actual finish line. The finish line is where the results are coming in. That's where you're going to see the comments. So stop getting 10 hosts to post up because that's a good number and that's what everyone talks about. If you're not getting the results from those 10, guess what? You need to get more. Set a results goal. For me, I have at least 20 new conversations a day. And so that may take me 3 hosts to post. That may take me 30 hosts to post. And that's not just comments, because for the past 9 months, I've not been able to send friend requests to anyone on Facebook. So in order for me to even start a conversation, I have to have people comment. Then I have to have them send me a friend request. So for my control freak brain, that's a lot of things out of my control. So I'm not just counting my comments at this point. I'm counting people that have commented and sent me a friend request that I can actually start now having a conversation with, at least 20 a day. I don't care how many host to post it takes. And I was on a Zoom with Ashley Crenshaw yesterday, and we were talking about host to post. And she said she doesn't even remember, like she doesn't even count how many messages, because she used to send like 100 messages for host to post a day. And it was like a huge aha moment for me, because when I got started, I sent like 50, 100 messages a day. We would keep track of it and like tally them off. And I'm like, I couldn't tell you how many messages I sent, probably 500 a day. But like, that's just a random guess, because I am so, like, that's such an insignificant thing to focus on. Like, you should not concern yourself with how many messages you send out. That does nothing for you. You got to concern yourself with what results you're getting back in. And so guys, don't overcomplicate it. Corporate has made an amazing task list for us, okay? If you don't have the KPI tracker, you're gonna go get it and download it and print it out today, guys. That is an amazing resource. It's there for a reason. You know, corporate doesn't just go and do things just to do them. That's literally going to be your key to getting the success. But the difference maker is gonna be, are you gonna do your KPIs once? Or are you gonna do them twice when you finish? Are you gonna do them 3 times when you finish? Are you just gonna do the task because it's a task in front of you? Or are you going to keep working past it? Oh, goodness gracious. I lost my train of thought. So KPI tasks, jump back on that one. But that's going to be the real thing, is you don't have to overcomplicate it. You don't have to get crazy. It's the same task. You're going to send your friend request. You're going to go interact. You're going to post, and you're going to post well. You're going to write your own stuff. You're not just going to copy and paste. You're going to make sure your stories are filled, not just about the business, but more so about you, about what your life looks like, about what your day looks like. You're going to make sure that you are following up ridiculously. You are making sure you're getting those 10 hosts to post up every day and then some. You're going to make sure that you're doing all the things in excess. And then with host to post, guys, like you can never go wrong. You can never go wrong with host to post. If you find yourself in a place like, I don't know what to do, here's the answer. Make note. I don't know what to do equals do host to post. Okay. Like that's going to be the quickest way to jumpstart every aspect of your business. You want to promote, do more host to post. You want to do a crazy jump 3x your host to post. Like that's got to be where you're coming from. I was listening to a Zoom with Kelly Brown. Someone I look up to so much in this business. I just love her spirit and everything about her. And she was talking about her jump when she had lost triple, and she was trying to get that back for her and her family. And so she was like, I wasn't doing some things, like she wasn't doing host to post, she really wasn't doing personal development. And so she's like, well, I'm just gonna do all the things, like all the things. And then once I've done all the things, I'm going to get on my knees. I'm going to open my hands up to God. And I'm going to say, instead of how I'm going to do this, I'm going to say, what do I do next? What else? And then she's going to take that, whatever that next step is, and she's going to do it. And when she finished that, she's going to say, okay, God, what next? What's my next step? And when she gets that, she's going to do that, whether that's messaging her team, whether that's posting, whatever it is. It's never getting to the point of, okay, I did my tasks, I'm going to watch TV. Okay, I did my tasks, I'm going to do this. No, it's what else, God? What else do you have for me today? What else can I be doing? Where can I be fruitful? Where can I extend my reach? What more can I do? And if you're constantly asking, what more can I do? Starting with that KPI list and working from there, you're never going to like hit a cap on that list. There's so many days when I go to bed, maybe I only did like half my KPI list, maybe I did all of it, but if I'm constantly asking what else, what more, even if I don't finish this list, I know the work I'm doing is profitable because I'm doing the most I can. And that's where a lot of grace has to come in as well, especially during promotion seasons. Like you've got to have the grace to know your job is to work as hard as you can. That can look totally different every day. Your job is to work as hard as you can and trust God with the rest. And so as long as you're doing that KPI list, as long as you're pushing to get, double the host to post up, then you've got to keep going. You've got to keep getting creative. You got to keep looking for more. And then you've really just got to dig in and trust God is blessing that and blessing your work. His hands are in it in his time, not in yours. So as long as you're doing the work, you're giving him something to bless. And when those two collide, it's gonna only uphill from there.
Yeah, I love that. And that's something that you told me, probably, I don't know when we met, but whenever that was, you said, because I was picking your brain, because y'all, Mariah, when she's on her game, her mass enrolling is like insane. Like her like slow months are like my fast months. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. I'll just not look at that. But I asked her, I was like, what do you do every day? And she's like, I don't know. Like, I just do as much as I can. Because for me, for so long, and put a 4 in the chat if this is you, I looked at my task list as like my max. Like, okay, I did my 10 host to post, cool, done. That's done. I don't need to do host to post anymore for the rest of the day. Or like, I need to follow 10 people on Instagram or whatever. And like, that's all I did. I never pushed myself further. And she's like, I don't look at my task list as something to do. I know what results I need. And that's where I look. The other thing that I know you do that I love is you're so confident in what you're doing that you trust that the differences will come. Like you don't look at what you're doing and been like, oh, it's not enough. Like what? I don't know. Like it's just not coming together. You don't look at it from a negative side. You look at it from a positive side. So do you want to kind of touch on that? I know a lot of people struggle with feeling like they're not doing enough and like they just don't know how the heck it's going to come together. And I always tell people, but sometimes it's nice to hear from other people that like you're never going to go into promotion month and be like, oh my God, this is so easy. Like it's so done. I'm not concerned at all. So talk to us about like your mindset with that and trusting that God's going to bless your efforts.
Yeah, definitely. If I could speak to it, I couldn't speak it to it any stronger this month. We started the month like 17,000 in volume from triple and like 20 distributors. And I've cried every single day. Like, I have no idea how this is going to happen. Like, that's such a normal feeling. We're 11 days in, we're down to like 10,000 in volume and 13 distributors, which is still like freaking insane. I have no idea how we're going to do this, but you've got to not just remember like what you're doing, you got to remember who's in control. And coming especially from someone who's like ridiculously red, like I see money, I see like, let's go, don't tell me to slow down. I need my hands in everything. I'm really bad at delegating leadership, any of that. I want to do it all. And to be able to sit back and be like, at the end of the day, I've got to learn to trust that it's not on me. And I just have to trust that I'm enough. It's definitely one of the hardest things that I've had to develop through my business. And it's a very hard thing to then teach and duplicate, but you just have to understand that this, like, let's just look at Sherry Lynn Alcala, okay? She does her steps to success every month, guys. She is she was number 2 last year, or like the year before. Last year, she was like number 5 of the company. She does her steps to success every month, guys. So when we're sitting there and we are freaking out like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing enough. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to get the results. She's at the very top, just focusing on doing her 6 customers and 3 distributors and then attempting to double it. And if she can get to the top doing that, if you don't mass enroll this month, guess what? You can still reach your goal. That doesn't disqualify you. You don't have to mass enroll in order to achieve the success. Yes, it helps get you there quicker, but it's not like a qualifying factor. You can still go forward. And so give yourself the grace to just push yourself to be the best you. And so much of that, I think, through all of it, especially with promotion season, has got to come from personal development. It's got to come into pouring into yourself first and strengthening yourself. I definitely wasn't this person who would have looked at, I mean, I haven't been for 2 years pushing triple. I've never looked at this goal and the level we are and been like, oh yeah, you know what? I don't know how, but I trust that God's going to bring this together. No, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I have to sign all these customers and I have to do all this. But at the end of the day, guys, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So as long as you're focusing on that next bite, you're praying over your food before you stick it in your mouth, you're giving it to God, you're blessing it, what you're doing is going to be enough. And you have to also relinquish the idea that there is a deadline on your goal. There's no deadlines on success. Like, does it really matter if you go diamond this month and you make a $3,000 paycheck, or if you go diamond next month and you make a $3,000 paycheck, or, you know, 2,000 or whatever the dang average is? Like, does it really matter? Like, of course, you know, it'd be nice to have the money now. Of course, it'd be nice to have the promotion now, but does it matter? Like, if you don't do it now, are you going to quit because you didn't do it now and did it next month instead? No, like, you're still going to achieve it. The only way you don't hit diamond is you quit before you get there. That is literally the only way to disqualify yourself, the only way for you not to achieve it. So you've got to find the comfort in knowing you're gonna get there. All you have to do is focus on that next bite. All you have to do is focus on the task in front of you. All you have to do is focus on the enrollment in front of you, the conversation in front of you, the new distributor in front of you that you're pouring into. All you have to do is focus on that one thing and do the best you can. I grew up playing sports. I went to college on athletic scholarships. Like, I was a big, you know, jock growing up. And we always talked about how you leave it on the field. Anytime you step and you cross the line, I played soccer, so you cross the white line, you step on the grass, you leave it on the field. You leave everything you have, your heart and your soul, you leave it on the field. When you walk back across the line, that's when you can cry. That's when you can break down. That's when you can feel the bumps, the bruises, the brokenness, whatever it is, that's when you feel it. But when you were on the court, when you were on the field, you leave it on the field. This business is the same. You are on the field. Promotion month, you stepped across the line. You're in the game. It's your job to leave it on the field and trust the coach, trust his playbook, trust that he has a strategy to get you to the championship and beyond. You just got to show up and be the best player you can every day. You practice as hard as you can. You show up as hard as you can. You leave it on the field and you trust the outcome to God and not to you.
Oh my gosh, so good. Y'all see why I did Zooms with Mariah like 60,000 times a week? I'm like, I just need you like in a little earbud in my ear 24/7. Okay, so talk to us about when it's promotion month and you're like, all right, guys, like this is our time. Like you feel God moving in you. What do you do to hype up your team to figure out who your leaders are and get them running with you, even if they haven't really been running in the past?
Well, first off, I think it's so important to lead from the front. And I think we need to dissect the idea of leadership. Leadership does not mean that you are a diamond. That does not mean that you're a ruby. Leadership means you have one team member. Okay, and if you ain't got that, then cool, you're gonna lead yourself, right? Leadership means that you are making a difference, that you are blazing the trail, you are going first, so you get to show up first. That's so important because I can never sit there and I can say all the things. I can hop on here and, you know, every single one of you could be personally enrolled to me, you could be on my team, and I get to hype you guys up. But if I get off this Zoom and I don't walk the walk, if I'm not having more enrollments than everyone, if I'm not getting up more host to post than everyone, if I'm not showing up first, what I say doesn't matter. It's completely obsolete. Like, yeah, it's going to make you feel good, but it's not going to change your business. And so I've got to show up first. You want a runner on your team? Guess what? Cool. You be your first runner. And so once you can get real crystal clear and show up yourself, like I have to use so much. I got a girl on my team, guys. Last month, she was announced as the #1 customer enroller for the entire company. She ended last month with like 160 something customers. Like it was crazy. Okay. I've never been out enrolled before by my own team. So needless to say, that challenged my leadership, but I got to still show up, and I still led from the front because I was showing up. If I knew she was on a call, if I knew she was going to show up on a Zoom, if I knew she was going to be doing something, I made sure I was on it. Even if I had my camera off and I was muted and I was in the other room, I showed up first. I showed that I was going to be the leader that was going to be there, that even if she's out enrolling me, she's not out and working me. I'm still showing up for her. And I find that in every one of my girls. I don't care if they sign one customer every 6 months. I got a lady on my team. She's a little bit older. She doesn't really want to do belly on belly. She just doesn't really want to do social media. And she just really wants to have a good time, but also make a lot of money. So we all have those, right? And she signs like one customer every 3 months. So she's always commission qualified because this is like a freaking 200 BD order every 3 months. That's the only customer she gets. But you know what? I cheer her on and hype her up the exact same way I cheer the girl who's got 160 customers that month. That's important. You want a team of freaking people who are successful. You got to love them where they're at, and you got to treat them like they are the freaking queen. I was talking to Daniel earlier about promotions and stuff. And, we were talking about people who I love dearly on my team who like haven't always shown up the way that I see is, they're capable of. And it's so important. And it's almost so exciting to get to then to love those people to the point they need to go. Like there's some girls on my team who I'm like, girl, you could go diamond and they can't even see ruby, but I get to project diamond on them. They get to walk into diamond, not ruby, because that's where I'm putting it. So as from a leadership point, it's so important to find their strengths, to cast vision beyond what your team can see, to constantly be their biggest cheerleader. And that gets to start the moment they enroll. Like the second my newbies, I sign up and I get the notification, I go in and I message them, I voice message them. And I'm like, you clicked the button. Oh my gosh, like you clicked the join button. Do you realize how many people get to that screen and don't have the balls to click? Like you clicked the button. You started your business. Like, girl, you are freaking, you can do anything now. We're going all the way to the top. How much money you want to make? How quick we going to get there? Like you are amazing. And that's all I did was sign up. Like that's it. But I just made that person feel like they are on top of the world. I made them feel that I believe and I see in them so much more than they can see in themselves. And as a leader, that's so important to do. And so that's really leadership wise, what I'm doing is I'm loving on everyone. I'm meeting them where they're at. I'm inspiring and trying to push them farther than where they see themselves going. And then I'm very much leading from the front. I'm very loud about my enrollments. I am very quick to challenge my girls. I'm very quick to challenge them. And at the same time, though, with promotions, you do have to get to a point where if you are pushing for a promotion, I'm going to pop a bubble. Okay. Every box on your chart, it's not going to be working. When you're pushing for that promotion and you're like, dude, I can't go because I don't have a working team, your chart, it's never going to have every single box working. It's never going to happen. You're never going to walk to a promotion super easily because you just have, 13 distributors who are bossing out. So diamond's a breeze. It's not going to happen. And so when you are going through these promotion months, it's important to love everyone, because if me and Courtney just joined Sarah, and Sarah sees both of us and sees me, my first 4 days, I had almost 600 in volume I brought in myself. And so Sarah can look at me and be like, dude, that's my runner. That's who I'm working at. And it's so easy to cast Courtney away because Courtney took a little bit. She, marinated before she exploded. But you got to love them too. You got to love them where they're at. But when it comes to your promotions, you also have to be very wise with your resources. So in that instance, at the very beginning, if I was looking at the team and I had me and Courtney, I would not place a single customer or distributor under me. I'm not giving my runner, they don't get none of my enrollments. But you best believe I'm going to build up Courtney. And I'm going to do it in a way that I need her for my chart. So I got to put it there anyway. But I'm going to do it in a way that does not make it look like I'm doing the work for her, but instead that I'm setting her up to achieve her next goal. So if I need Courtney to be a 400 box, she's not working right now. Like she's not rocking, she's not going. So I'm going to come and I'm going to be like, you know what, girl, like, let's get this shopping spree. Okay. I want you to get one customer this month. Okay. I'm going to work with you. I want you to know you're not on your own. Here's 2 customers. I'm going to go ahead and give you your first 2. And then maybe a couple weeks later, I'm like, girl, where's that customer at? We got to get that first one. Okay. I want you to get that first one. So here's another customer to help push you. By the end of this, I'm going to probably get her first 6 customers, but I'm not doing it in a place where I'm overstepping and just taking over, but I'm still filling my chart where I need, because you can't rely on everyone to do the work for you for your promotion. At the end of the day, it's yours. And so I'm loving and I'm pouring into my workers, and I'm building those people who, are still dormant, who are still growing into their confidence with this business. So I think that kind of answered. I feel like I zigzagged around, but hopefully that kind of got to the point you were looking for.
No, it totally did. I love that you mentioned, and I feel like every leader talks about this all the time, but it's so hard to realize as a newer distributor or looking at your first promotions that your chart is never going to be fully working, ever. I don't care if you're going executive or you're going ambassador, your whole chart isn't working. Okay. There are going to be people on your team that you're like, if you could just sign some customers, this would be a heck of a lot easier. But guess what? They're not gonna. Okay. It's on you. And that's kind of why you're making the most, right? Like you're making the biggest promotion, you're making the biggest bonus because you have to do more work, right? Mm-hmm. So, the other thing that I want to say, and I know you and I both are very happy in a way that we haven't been built by anyone, that no one's given us anything, because the thing is, when you aren't built, your paychecks are a heck of a lot higher. They're really good because everything's on your own. So do you want to talk maybe to people who see maybe others getting built and they're just like, man, like I wish I could be built. But then you and I kind of got to a point where we were like, I'm proud that I wasn't built, because that shows that I'm a strong leader and that I don't really need anyone. So talk a little bit about that.
Good Lord Jesus. I can't tell you how many times I've just been like, I just told my upline, I'm like, will you just can you just help me do this? Like, will you just help me get triple? Like, can we just please, I've been working for 2 years. Like, can you not just give it to me? Like, come on, like, this is fine. Eventually it'll help you too. Like, come on, you could just throw it this way. It's fine. Like, but at the end of the day, 100%, I don't want that. I know that I get to fight and I'm so much stronger. And building is a great thing in some places, but a lot of times it's not. It's a necessity. And it's one of those like those bittersweet things. I hate building people. I feel like if I build someone to a promotion, I rob them of their promotion. Like, yes, they're going to get the paycheck, and yes, they're going to have the rank, and yes, they're going to have the title, but I feel like I just robbed them of the satisfaction that comes with it. And I know it's so, oh my gosh, you can drive yourself nuts looking left and right, knowing like, oh, I wonder what, I don't think she actually signed all those customers. She probably had someone give them to him. Why not me? And I know with me personally, it was sometimes easy to take it personal almost and like discredit myself and be like, oh my gosh, she doesn't believe in me as much because she gives, all these people other things. And it was, very apparent it's actually the opposite. I don't get things because I can do it on my own. And my up and roller had the faith in me that I could do it. She didn't have to build me. She didn't have to give me things. And so, as an enroller, as like a leader, it's often very difficult to look at your chart, knowing who to build, who to pour into. And that's what we talked a little bit a couple of seconds ago about. That is like you pour into the people who can do it on their own. So if your leader is not building you, if your leader is instead giving you their time, that is a freaking pat on the back. Okay. Every time you find out she gives someone else a customer that's not you, I want you to see that as a victory. Because that means you are so capable. That means she has no fear that you're not going to hit your promotion. That means that she sees in you something that could take you ambassador that she may not see yet in that other person. That means that you are the freaking bomb. That means you can do this. So take it as a win. And if you have been built, that doesn't mean that you can't do this. That doesn't mean that in order to get the success, someone's got to do it for you. And that doesn't mean your enroller doesn't believe in you. That just means it's not your season yet. You weren't there yet. You were still growing. God was doing something different in you. And that's what I love about this business, guys. Everyone's story and everyone's journey, it looks so different. And it doesn't, at the end of the day, matter what your story looks like. It matters as long as you get there. Whether it takes 5 years, whether, someone built you Ruby and then they didn't maintain it for you and you had to start working and you got a real reality check of what this looked like and you lost it all and got to build yourself back. Maybe you built yourself Ruby on your own. I don't care what that looks like. At the end of the day, your success is what matters. Where you're going, how you get there, that's just your testimony. Where you get, that gets to be your foundation. And it's so cool that there's so many different paths to get there. And, I think it's just like a freaking, like a victory pin if you're not built when you get there. It just makes you feel so much more confident about it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, so something I know that is like a constant thing that you're working on and that you're proud of with your team is that you have a really positive, loving culture within your team. So, talk to us about like, was there any specific tasks you did, steps you did, books, podcasts, whatever, for someone who's like maybe starting to grow their organization? They're like, we want just like a super positive group. What were some things you did for that?
So I actually, on my phone, okay, I went to the last green carpet we had, guys. So I guess 2 years ago was my first green carpet. And I went, and I don't know, I'm red. And so I'm not very green, but at the same time, if you're going to tell me something to help me make money, like I'm going to listen. And so I signed up for, all the classes at green carpet. I was like, I'm gonna go sit in and everything. And every person I went to conference with, like there was like 7 or 8 of us, not a single one of them signed up for a class. They all went out, they went to the beach, they did photos, they did all kinds of other things, but they didn't go to the training. And I was blown away by this. First off, I was like, well, you guys didn't sign up. And I felt so bad in a way, because I felt like I was missing out. I felt like I wasn't getting to do all the fun things that I was, I'm not going to be in all the pictures and all of that because I'm doing this. But I stuck it out, and I went to this training at Green Carpet, and it was the Diamonds Above. And Cami did a lot of speaking. We had like a worksheet we worked through. And I remember in the car on the way home, I got out my notes and I wrote this down. And I was like, I want a culture that's different than that. I want a culture where everyone's already signed up and I don't have to ask them to. And so I wrote down and I said, we are difference makers. We are volunteers. We are God's light. We are inspiration. We are cut above the rest. We are disciplined. We do show up. We do give back. We do prioritize our time. We do value people. We do pray as a team. And that's something that I constantly am reminding myself of. I've never once put it out there for my team. It's not like I went and I just was like, this is what we're doing, guys. Like I just started living and creating a culture to define those characteristics. I volunteered to pack meals at Green Carpet while everyone else, was like heading back to their flights and stuff like that. And I volunteered first. And I created my own team page when I was a Ruby, guys. I don't recommend doing that, okay? But again, control freak over here. I was like, team page, let's go. Me, my mother-in-law, my husband were the only ones in it. But we were balling. It's fine. And so we were the boss babes because makes sense. And right after I had said this, I was like, I gotta have a name that I can call out from the stage. And so I defined us as we are the legacy tribe. So a lot of my story comes from defining the fact that I'm out to create a legacy. I'm breaking chains that have plagued my family for generations. We've never been a people of money. Every person in my family has always struggled. They've always I'm going to be the first person in my family's history, including my little sister. Like I'm the only one that's not filed bankruptcy. I'm the only one in my family that is not getting divorced. I was the first one in my family to graduate college. I'm breaking chains. I'm creating a legacy that's going to be so much bigger past me. And I'm not just out here to find other people to make business decisions, to make paychecks. No, I'm out here finding people who want to create a legacy, who have chains that they need to break and let go. And I'm going to guide them through it. And I'm going to create a home where we are not just going to define who we are today and who we're going to show up as. We get to create a legacy for our future, for our children's children. And we're going to be the legacy tribe. We're going to be the ones that are out there breaking chains everywhere. And that's a scary thing to go out and say. That's a huge thing to claim. And that's what I did though. I said it for myself. I said it when no one was listening. I said it in private. And because I started showing up and creating that in culture around me. We didn't have it at the beginning. We have the same culture of everything I've ever seen. We drank a lot, we partied a lot, we had a lot of fun. I've been in and out of jail, when I was in college. I was expelled from college. Yeah, imagine that phone call. I was on athletic scholarship in college and was expelled for drinking. Like I've done the run, and I was, very comfortable in that lifestyle. And this business hit, and I was like, no, I got to be cut above the rest. We got to be different, because at the end of the day, if I'm at the tippity top, what's going to set me apart from the rest if I show up looking like everybody else does? No, I'm going to show up looking different. Mark's going to know who I am because I look different, and our entire culture is going to be that. And I can remember seeing a video of Kelsey Thornton giving a hype up speech to her team after conference last year. And she was, she had them all in the huddle outside conference, where all of us are hanging out planning like where we're going to go eat and like where has the best happy hours and all of that. She had her team huddled up and she was like, getting in deep about how God had created them for more and all this. And I was like, oh my gosh, how can I be that person? And it's so cool because I set out, let me look at the date on this thing. It was what? September 22nd, 2019. I defined who I was going to be as a leader and what our team was going to do. This past conference, we had a retreat. Lord Jesus. To say this retreat blew my mind for conference. We had a whole night where I've been to some crazy church services. I felt some spirit. I've worshiped hard. I've never praised the Lord as hard as I did in the living room of that house at conference when those worship songs were playing. I've not seen so many people proclaim God and sit there and talk about hard conversations and letting go of things and opening up about things that no one they never said out loud. And I was able to not just talk over people, but I was able to prophesy. I was able to love Jesus and light so strongly. I was able to be my own Kelsey Thornton hype man, guys. Like, if you listen to Kelsey Thornton, like, that's a big thing to say. And that didn't start just because I decided, this is going to be a good conference. I'm going to do something now. But no, back when I didn't have a team, back when I didn't have anyone showing up, back when I was in the same rut as everyone else, back when I was a nobody, no one was asking me to speak. No one knew who I was. But that's when I decided we were going to be different. I started in my heart creating this culture, and I started showing up, embodying it. I started praying on live videos. I started praying on Zooms. I mean, I pray us out every week on our team huddle. Do you know how scary that is to do the first time? Like, I just started being what I wanted. And then all of a sudden, my people started rising, and the people who weren't my people started falling. I had like emeralds all of a sudden just dip. They're like, nah, it's not for me. Like, now I'm out. Just ghost me. And it was a very difficult, time of growth, really just creating this environment and trusting that if God took them away, they weren't going to better our vision. They weren't going to take us where we need to go. And as leaders, we get to be vision casters. We get to set the tone of what we want. We get to create the environment of happiness, of love, of God's light, of hope, of direction, of chain breaking. We can decide what we want to create. And we get to start doing that. And then God just works through it. He just blows it up to what bigger than you could ever imagine. And he takes away those things. He protects it. And if you got those best friends who are not going to be, nurturing that, he can take those away and he can bring that to light. And you just start creating this environment. And I start living this environment. So then new people joining, guess what? They're coming in with the same mentality. When they join the chat, they see, me praying on everything, me sharing my devos and talking about Jesus. And because I'm loud about who I am, whose I am, it created this organic environment. Guys, I've heard people on my team talk about God and talk about love and inspire other people that, oh my goodness, it blows my mind. And it's so cool because I got to take the first step when no one was looking to set up this stage for so many people to get to speak out and inspire and love on each other. And it's an amazing thing. And it's so cool because you have the power to just do it, to just get clear of what culture you're going to have. And then if it does not support that culture, you get rid of it. You let it go.
Oh my gosh. I love that. I remember, Mariah, when you voice messaged me and you were like, okay, so I feel like I need to start praying on Zooms and I'm terrified. I really don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyways. And I was like, all right, girl, you go for it. And you're like, I'm just terrified. And I was like, it's fine. You'll be fine. I remember that. And I was laughing so hard because you were like, she's always this hype, y'all. Like, this is not just a Zoom. Like, you get a voice message from her and I feel like she just drank like 7 Red Bulls. Oh my gosh. I was dying listening to that listening to that voice message. But your team, including you, made massive moves last month. Like, literally, y'all, she was updating me and she was like, oh, this girl who signed over 100, she was like, oh, she just signed her 100th customer. I'm like, it's like the 12th. Like, what do you mean she signed her 100th customer? Like, what is happening? She's like, my volume is increasing. Like, I just signed my 60th customer. And I'm like, well, I signed 4. So like, there's that. And that doesn't mean that I'm any less of a leader, but it wasn't my season last month to be in Mass Enroller, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you can't cheer other people on. So talk to us about like, what do you think you did, or how did you make those massive moves last month between you and your team?
Yeah, definitely. I love that you threw that in there too, is because everyone's season gets to look different. There's a lot of seasons where my business is not thriving, or my business may be thriving and I'm not. And my enrollments aren't there. That doesn't disqualify you. And like we talked about with Sherry Lynn Alcala, like she's like up there in the top 5 income earners of the company, does her steps to success. So mass enrolling does not equal success. That's just a cool tool to do along the way. But it doesn't guarantee success. It doesn't, equate that by any means, but it's very exciting when it does happen. And I don't know what happened. I was very blindsided. Life was really, really difficult for me in 2020, as it was for a lot of us. COVID really like knocked us out, man. Like I struggle with depression anyway. And all of a sudden I was so depressed to be at home, even though I was at home anyway, like that's all I did. But it was the fact that like I couldn't go out. I was so depressed. I was so stressed. And then we were getting ready to move, and like we had like 3 different houses fall through, and we had issue with our landlord. Like we're currently in a lawsuit against our landlord right now. Like things got crazy, and it ended up with in November of last year, we were homeless living in a tent for about a month. And especially coming from a place where you're trying to lead and you're trying to promote and you're trying to be somebody in a tent, like guys, it's a little difficult. It's a little difficult. And it took such a toll on me personally. I didn't want to wake up. I didn't want to live. I didn't want to do this anymore. I was just ready for it to be over. I was tired of fighting. And it continued, through December. December was really difficult. The December before, I lost my diamond rank and went down to emerald. And that was the first time I had dropped down that low since I was emerald. When I went emerald my first 3 months, that was the first time I was back there. So all December I was so terrified. I was working from such a place of fear. Like I was like, I just know I'm going to end up emerald again. I know I'm going to lose it all. Like I don't know, we're already at rock bottom, but I just know what's going to happen again. Like I was so scared. And we ended up maintaining diamond. Still not double, but we were maintaining diamond in December. And I remember like eSpeed updated on the 31st. And it said, or 30th, how many days there are, the last one, and said, we're diamond. And I remember sitting down with my husband and I was just crying. And I was like, dude, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this. I can't keep going like this. Like, I can't do it. Something has to change. And I don't know what to change. Like, I through all of this, when I was, when we're living in a tent, I still had 30 plus customers, like 9 or 10 distributors. I was still working my business. My heart wasn't in it, but I still, I'm very self-disciplined. I have that strong work ethic. So, I was still doing it. And so I was like, on the 31st, I was like, you know what? I'm going to wake up on the first different. I'm going to do it different. This year, I'm going to prioritize myself. And that's something that I've never done. My mom is my biggest role model, and she's one of the most selfless people I've ever met. And so I just grew up seeing like selfless. That's just the way life was for her. And so I respected her so much, and I thought that's how I had to be. And the idea of putting myself first is a foreign concept for me. I've never really seen that in action, but I felt in my soul I had to put myself first. So I woke up on the first. And I got up earlier. I bought a fancy alarm clock to help because I'm not a morning person. I got up earlier. I did skincare for the first time in 24 years. And I've done it every day since. I listened to my Bible and I did a Devo, and I went and I walked on the beach. We're about 10 minutes from the beach. So I went and I walked on the beach and I did a workout, and I wrote out and like planned my day. I've got like a little sheet I write every day with like my goals, like what I got to do, all that kind of stuff. My mantra, I have a mantra, guys. Like, okay, like we're getting serious here. Not even I am statements. I got myself a mantra. I wrote my gratitudes and all that first thing in the morning. On the 1st of January, after I took this time for myself, we had more volume brought in on the 1st of January than the entire first week almost of December. Nothing changed. Like I had the same team on January 1st I did on December 1st. We were in the same building. We were in the same place. We were in the same thing. I was still broken. I was still a mess. But I took time. I prioritized myself. I started, preaching to my girls the importance of Sabbath and prioritizing yourself. And all of a sudden the volume came. And it was so crazy because it came from not just one place, because it's so easy to look and be like, oh, you got yourself a runner. Like, okay, of course, 150 some customers. Like, of course you got a lot of volume. But it wasn't just her. My enrollments were the highest I've ever had in January. I had girls on my team who were signing like 10, 12 customers who typically sign one every 2 months. I had people signing distributors left and right, and we had distributors coming in, getting their first 6 customers in a day. Like, it was just this insane amount of momentum, and I 100% attribute all of it to first prioritizing us, really learning what personal development is. I've talked on a couple of Zooms the past week, and I feel like I keep bringing it back to this, but for me, this has been the biggest game changer. Is I stopped on the first. I stopped looking at personal development like it was a task I had to get done, and I started looking at personal development like it was a lifestyle. I started living it. I started embodying it. Every morning it looks different. You know, some days it may be long, some days it may be real quick, but it's what I need, what's going to fill me. I started filling my cup before I even attempted to try to fill anybody else's. And I started not only doing it for me, I started looking and trying to pass that vision for my girls. My girls started doing personal development. They started taking care of themselves first. And that starts building, like we were talking about a couple minutes ago, that trust in the result. I stopped looking at the result. We stopped looking at the result. Yes, we did our charts. Okay, that's not what I meant. Our charts were updated 32 million and 7 times a day. Like, our charts were up to point, but it wasn't the goal and how we were going to get there wasn't on me. It wasn't on, I had the girl who signed a bunch of customers, Riley. She went from Ruby to Diamond last month. She got herself a $5,000 bonus, a $10,000 bonus, and her mama a $5,000 bonus. But she wasn't just looking like, hey, on the first, she needed like 7,000 in volume. She wasn't looking at that. She was looking at what task can I do today that God's going to provide that 7,000 to come from. And that's how we attacked everything team wide. What can I do today to get me where I got to go? We did our host to post ridiculously. That's the bread and butter of my team. That's part of our culture, is host to post. And so we were doing that, and like across the board, like it was nothing. If I just picked someone out of my team chat, it was like, how many host to posts you got up? It was at least 15. Like, for almost anybody. But my leaders, the ones who were mass enrolling, the ones who were showing up and having bigger months in their business and they had the whole past year, when I asked them, they were like 20. They were like 30. It was crazy numbers. Riley, she was getting up, like there's some days she would have like 60 host to post up because she's like, I don't know what I got to do. I want to go diamond. And so I'm going to keep working until my E-suite says diamond. I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I haven't showered in a week. I'm just going to keep doing the things I know to do until I have the result down the road that I want to see. And there was no timeline on it. There was no, fixation on it. There was no stress of, how am I going to make it happen? No, it was, how am I going to get up another host to post? How am I going to find someone else to talk to? Where am I going to get another follow-up from? Who else is online right now? Because it may be 1 o'clock and I don't like to message past 12. I don't want, to wake anyone up. So it's like, okay, I'm greenlight messaging at 1 a.m. because who's online that I can connect with? Okay, so you know what? I'm going to start finding people. I got to add some friends from California. I need some people way out there so that when I'm starting to get ready for bed, it's still early, so I have more people I can talk to. And it was getting creative of where can we find these people, because the more people we can get ourselves in front of, that's how we're going to get there to the end. We're just going to talk, we're just going to post, we're just going to believe, we're going to pray over it, and we're going to work with so much energy. Like me and my team, I tell them all the time, like, if you're going to voice messages, you should never voice message stationary. Okay, so don't worry, you don't have to chug 7 Red Bulls. You just get up and walk. And so if I'm voice messaging, I'm pacing, because what that's going to do, it's going to trick your voice into sounding excited when really we're just a little out of shape. Okay, it's okay, we can accept it. And so we're getting a little winded, but when we're talking, we're getting hype. And so that transcends so quickly to whether it's your team, whether it's a potential, all of a sudden you start getting, again, touching onto that belief. You start casting vision, and it's so cool because we can do that with our customers. We can cast vision of what our products are going to do for them. I had a girl I just signed up yesterday, and she wanted the gummies, and we ended up with like a full triple threat plus like a product or two, because she was getting ready for a wedding. And because instead of like focusing on the goal, like she wanted to lose like 50 pounds, 100 pounds, something like that, instead of looking at that, I was talking about the wedding. I was talking about how good she was going to look in the dress. I was talking about how everyone's eyes are going to be on her. I knew the goal, the product's starting to get the goal, but the goal only is so face value. She needed the feeling, and when we connect to the feeling, whether it's with potential customers, potential distributors, current distributors, when you connect everything back to emotion and feeling, root it there, you get different momentum, you get different work ethic. And as a leader, you've got to be able to call that out. You've got to be able to see it, and you got to be able to call out where it's lacking. And there's a lot of times I'd reach out to my girl and be like, okay, why haven't I seen you in the chat today? What's up? What's going on? And be like, oh, I've just been busy at work. And I was like, okay, send me your schedule for the rest of the week. I'll tell you where we're going to fit in schedules for you to work. Okay, we'll sit down. What's your schedule look like? As a leader, you got to be able to recognize it. You got to be able to see it. You got to jump in and be like, cool, what more can I do? I had a girl who, she had a death in her family. And so she was like, well, I just feel like frazzled. I'm all over the place. And I was like, cool, what do you need? You want post? I will send you 3 posts for the rest of the week, get you through, give you a chance to heal, to recoup, but your business doesn't have to stop. You don't got to message them, but we're going to start accumulating. Okay. When you're ready to jump back in, give it a couple days, we're going to take back off. So I sent in her post. I was like, cool, put this up. Cool, put this up. Did you, by the way, take your time, but did you see these comments? Like, they're ready for you. She took her day, she came back and she launched through. She finished out the month with like 10 more customers. As a leader, you got to be able to see those areas that you can then step in and fill. Because at the end of the day, guys, if you can like help your distributor sign customers, that is so much less work. Like, that's so much less on you. I know it's real easy to look at it and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna do all of this. If I got to tell you how to handle the conversation, I might as well have it myself. But like, if I can tell you how to handle a conversation and then you can go handle 10 conversations with that, that's 10 people I don't have to talk to. That's 10 customers that I don't have to sign. So it's very important to, as a leader, keep your eyes open for those places you can step in. And then you just got to lead from the front. You got to show up and you got to be loud. You have to show your work. Don't just tell your, like, we have a boom chat. And so, we're constantly shouting out enrollments. Don't just say you got a customer. Like, good, kudos for you. You're a leader now. Like, no one cares. You're supposed to have the enrollments. Like, good job, but you need to show your team how you got the customer. You should be sharing screenshots of this is the conversation I had. Or sending it like, I just signed up 3 customers. Like, kudos to you, okay? But no, this is the post they came off of. Try posting this in the next week. Like, you got to show your work as you're leading from the front and do it with so much energy. Like, even when especially when you don't feel like it. Like, I don't even want to say even when you don't feel like it. Like, if you don't feel like it, that is like a clue that should hone into your brain that you need to get to work. When you don't feel like it, that's when you have to dig in and you have to get to work. When you do feel like it, yes, you get to work. When you don't feel like it, you have to get to work. And so you work through it all. You work and you lead from the front. You give yourself grace where you feel short. You love your people wildly. And magic happens when you start opening those doors and working in that like path God has already laid out for you.
Oh my gosh, so good. I love that you touched on exactly. It's like you read my mind because y'all, last year, it's not that Mariah didn't do the things. It's not that Mariah didn't show up. It's not that Mariah didn't enroll. She was still signing 30 plus customers a month every single month. But the momentum wasn't there. The belief wasn't there. And she woke up on the first, and I remember you messaged me and you're like, this year's gonna be different, Court. And I was like, we've said that before. Like, we've said, oh, this month is different. We've had those conversations, but there was something different in her. And I was like, oh man, like Mariah's on it. It's about to get wild. Like, if you know Mariah, when she's ready to go, it's like, oh shoot, buckle up, because it's about to get crazy in here. So she just decided, like, she just was like, all right, game on, let's do this. And you were willing to do whatever the heck it took. So we have 2 minutes left, and then I know there's another Zoom happening right after. So give us one last minute quick tip to leave us off through the night. You freaking killed tonight.
Well, thank you again so much for having me on. I love to run my mouth. So anytime I have a stage, y'all, I'm going to show up. But I think if I could leave you guys with anything, it was just to remember that you're worthy of this. I think that's probably been my biggest battle this whole time. It's just believing that I actually deserve it, believing that I'm capable of it, believing that once I get there, it won't fall apart, believing that, I look left and right. I don't always look like those other girls. If I have all the money, I'm still probably not going to have my nails done. Like, I'm still probably going to do them myself and they're going to be chipped. Like, I'm not that caliber. I don't look like that. I don't need those things. I'm not materialistic at all. So like, I don't need the Louis Vuitton. Like, those are the kind of people who do this. And it's so easy to look like that and start counting yourselves out for whatever reason. I know Courtney thought she wasn't blonde enough when she got started, that she couldn't be successful because she wasn't blonde enough. Like, we all have those insecurities, but remember that nothing disqualifies you at all, except for yourself. The only way you're not going to be at the top is because you took yourself out of the race. Even last place in this business still wins. Okay, as long as you cross the finish line, you just have to keep moving forward. Every step, no matter how hard it is, no matter if you're in the mud, no matter if you're at the mountaintop, no matter if you're somewhere in between, you've got to just take the next step. When it's hard, when you don't feel like you can, when you're weak, when you're tired, when you're ecstatic, when you're running, whatever it looks like, you have to keep taking the step, because it's like one of the laws of motions, guys. Okay, an object in motion will stay in motion. You got to get in motion. You got to believe you are worthy. You were created for this. God did not have an exemption list when he said that you were created for a life of abundancy. He didn't say you were created for a life of abundancy unless you're over 200 pounds, unless your IQ is under, I don't know what a good IQ is, 150, I don't know, unless your hair's brown, unless you're a mom. Like, there's no exemptions to that. When he said you were created for a life of abundant, he meant abundancy for all. He meant for every single one of you on this Zoom who watched the recording. Every one of you are called to a life of more. It is out there. It is provided for you. God's already got the walls built. You just get to move in, but you can't get to the door to move into this life if you don't take the steps to walk up the walkway. And so your job is to show up every day, to work as hard as you can, to take as many steps forward as you can. I don't care if you're crawling. I don't care if your knees are bleeding. You keep going forward with so much tenacity, so much faith, so much heart. You're going to see yourself on top. You're going to see yourself on stage. You deserve it all. And I love all of you guys.
Oh my gosh. So freaking good.